Hey, what's up guys? So I know Link Summoning is just around the corner and a lot of you guys just don't like them for whatever reasons. I know some people don't like Synchros, they don't like Exceed monsters, they don't like Pendulum monsters. Well, it's going to happen in every format, but I wanted to go over some of the decks that you guys can play. Maybe if you don't want to jump into Link Summons yet, or if you're just like, you know what, when Link comes out, I just want to play another deck. What are the good decks that can actually still win? Because there's a lot of decks that don't require Link Summons at all, but they're not going to actually give you a win. Now, some of these decks are better than others. This is not in any order, but here are some of the best decks after Link Summoning comes out into the game. Now, again, some of these are better than others. It's not in any order. Most of these have tops over an OCG because currently we don't have any deck lists from Link Summons, but OCG, they're ahead of the game. So this is what is really popping the OCG that is still actually getting some wins. Now, the Tricksters, I know that they're very new, but I think we can all understand this deck can just beat you turn one and it doesn't require any Link Summons at all. But anyways, that's kind of one exception in here. All the rest of the decks, they have been seeing places in like the top 8s and top 32, top 69. But anyways, first off, I just want to talk about like anti-meta in general, whether you're playing like the bear statue, artifact variants, you know, with kaijus and stuff like that. That is a deck that won't need any Link Summons, but I'm pretty sure if you're playing anti-meta, there hasn't been any like huge game-breaking card that really makes anti-meta super strong. But for the most part, you could definitely play bear statues. It topped recently in OCG. There's always like one rogue. It's kind of a rogue deck, but I still wanted to give it a shout out and mention that, you know, it still does see some play. Oh, by the way, this video isn't going to be for deck profiles. I will, however, make a video specifically for that, and I'll be going over each deck individually. Otherwise, this video will be 5 hours long. But anyways, I kind of want to just kind of explain certain decks as well. But yeah, bear statue, anti-meta, artifact, scythe control, there's a lot of variants. Those have still been seeing some play in the OCG. There's just like a few once in a while that you'll see pop up, but it still is a deck that requires none. The Informa Archetype. This archetype doesn't really need any Link Summons, and Anunku's still a pretty cool card. There's a few other cards that are great in the deck, but it doesn't really require Link Summons at all. Now keep in mind, you can still bring out like one card with these decks from the extra deck, but more than likely it's going to be like one. Sometimes you might want to, but for the most part it's not really necessary. Now, the true kings, the Draco Slaying kings, true kings, they still have some cards. So same thing with monarchs. They still have some really powerful cards, specifically like the Dominion. I've seen a lot of players side deck or even main deck a copy of this card playing True Kings, and it's a great card. Control nothing in your extra deck. Your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, so it locks your opponent out of bringing cards out, out of their extra deck. And, you know, the True Kings, they are very strong. You can mix them in with, like, Dinosaurs, which is the next thing we're going to be talking about anyways. But I've seen some of the True Kings also mix in some of the Monarchs. Or I guess if you play Monarchs, I can't really recommend Monarchs in the TCG. But, I mean, heck, Allure Dart has a 3. Just send off those other cards. But for the most part, the True Kings is really what I want to get at. Monarchs. Oh, by the way, if any of you guys felt like I missed out on any of the decks, let me know down below in the comment section below whether it is winning or not, because I pretty much covered most of the stuff that was really recent in the OCG, but there might have been something that just slipped by in the TCG that doesn't really require Link Summons that someone is playing. I know there's a beta version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro that lets you play with Link Summons, but it's very scarce. Like, there's not that many available people to play with, as far as I know on that. But anyways, Dinosaurs. You guys love this deck, and it's pretty self-explanatory why it does not really require an extra deck. There is that one Rex card where you banish it, and it allows for a little bit more synchro plays, or I guess I should say Exceed plays. Technically, you can synchro in the deck too with some of the Jirac stuff, which I messed around with a while back. But for the most part, the new Dinosaur stuff, really budget friendly, unless you want to, of course, play the True King variant, which I think is very strong, and that one will still be a very good deck. It's seeing a decent amount of tops in the OCG still, and yeah, very good deck. Doesn't need Link Summon at all. Tricksters is a burn deck, so I'm sure if you guys wanted to play this, you already know it doesn't require anything in the extra deck at all. In fact, it may be a cowboy in the extra deck, but for the most part, you don't need an extra deck with this deck. If you guys don't know, I've got actually a few videos. I'll try to link some videos of the certain things that I'm talking about, showing off the decks, but I want to kind of make them new. because I want to show it against Link Summons. Although this one, I think we can say we don't need to see the other deck because it's irrelevant, because this deck will just blow the other deck out of the water. Like, the other deck won't even have a chance. It doesn't matter what your opponent is playing because you just burn them before they even get to play. Now, surprisingly, Dark Lords, I've seen a few of them actually in the OCG. They have topped. I really don't know this deck very well, so I can't give you guys too much advice, but I do know it's not too bad of a deck as far as searchability. Like, it goes kind of fast. I'll probably have to do some research on this and play the deck myself a little bit so I can talk a little bit more about it once I actually give you guys a deck profile so I can show you guys the ins and out. Now, I do know Mermails pretty well. Now, this deck can definitely OTK pretty fast. They're getting some more support in the future. Right now, Ghost Ash can completely destroy this deck, but I still think this deck has a good chance at being relatively powerful. This deck, by the way, hasn't done anything in OCG, but I just still think it has a lot of potential. Being a deck that doesn't really need Link Summons. I mean, I know before we always went for those Northern plays, and we would Instant Fusion go for other stuff, but now that that's gone, I don't know where the future lies within Mermails. Maybe it's going to become a deck that can heavily go into Link Summons, and it definitely can, but I don't think it's a deck where you need to Link Summons. I mean, a lot of the times you just summon the Atlantean Prince. It's like a one-card OTK pretty much. And then next up, Lightsworn. We're getting more Lightsworn support in the future. Minerva's getting a reprint, so I can definitely see it being really strong in the TCG because we love Lightsworn in the TCG. It's always a deck that sees some play. When you go online, it doesn't matter what format it is. You always see Blackwings and Lightsworn. Like, it's just one of those classic decks. And again, Lightsworn is getting more support, and on top of that, they don't really have anything that would make them super good when Link Summons come out anyway. So I think it's a deck that will still be an okay deck when Link Summons come out. Now, these other decks, I mentioned this video idea a while back on the live stream, and some people were commenting some other decks, and I kind of want to mention some other decks here. But I think these ones are primarily the ones that most people will be interested in playing. But there's still some other decks I wanted to give a kind of a shout out to. My boy Fluffles, Fluffle Dog. But anyways, I think Fluffles, like, you do want to bring out multiple things from the Fusion. Or I should say from the extra deck, but I mean, technically you can get away with going for a play to pop all the cards, and you go for the play of the wolf, and the wolf attacks, like, you know, a bunch of times in this game. So I want to say you can get away with it, but it's not ideal to play. You know, going into the future, Fluffles, like, when Link Summons come out, I would say it's a nerf more than a buff. Like, for some other decks, it's a buff because it slows down some decks. But you guys know how it is. This game is very fast. If you guys haven't seen, Cyberse is a really, really popular archetype in the OCG right now. That deck is topping over and over. A lot of people are mixing in a lot of stuff, but that's a Link Summon deck, so that's not for this video. But I feel like I'll mention Fluffles because some of you guys mentioned it a while back when we were talking about this video idea. The DDDs, I thought this deck was all about the whole bringing cards from the extra deck. I mean, people were saying, no, if you're really good, you can do it. So I'll mention it. I'm not a DDD player myself, so this is one I cannot confirm it. But apparently, if you're good, you still need the extra deck, but you can just use one. But I just feel like that's kind of backwards because primarily this deck can focus off of that, but there's still good like cards that are not from the extra in the archetype that are pretty good, so I'll mention them. I'll give them a shout out, but I honestly cannot give you guys good information on this until I do my research for Link Summon. Like I said, when Link Summon comes out, I'm going to be testing all of these decks against Link Summon decks to show you guys that they can face up against them. And then also Cosmos, I felt like when we mentioned this for this video, because I had a list. But keep in mind, if there's anything you guys felt like I missed on, let me know down below. But as far as Cosmos go, they don't really require the extract for the most part. But like I was thinking, and you guys were thinking also that maybe on the next ban list they'll bring like Dark Destroyer to 2 or something. It didn't really happen, but this is definitely a deck that does not need the extra deck. But I just don't feel like it really can survive, especially with only one Dark Destroyer. If it went to 2, I could see some people trying out the deck and seeing a little bit more play with this deck. But for the most part, I don't know. Give me 2 a Dark Destroyer, I think the deck would be much better. But I'll mention it. Blue Eyes, for the most part, you don't really need an extra deck. For this, I mean, the Chaos, the one that does the piercing for 4,000 and doubles the damage, it could be pretty dirty, but I feel like it's kind of outclassed by most of the cards at this day and age. You guys wanted me to mention this. I'll give Yosenju a shout out, but I really don't like every time it's format, things are changing. Pendulum's coming out. Oh my, Yosenju deck is. I really don't think this deck is good, but it is a deck that does not require link summons. But the whole video idea was the best decks for the whole like link summons that don't require, or link summon format, but you don't need a link summon, and this deck would not need a link summon. I mean, if you open up good, there was new Yosenju support. Hold on, let me type in Yosenju. There was new Yosenju support that came out, like, I don't want to say super recently. I don't remember what the cards were. Oh yeah, it was Divine Winds. It had like a really good effect, where you add a level 5 or higher, and then you get to complete your pendulum scale. So this one is technically still pendulum, but it's not link summon. So I guess it still follows those rules. I don't know if any more Yosenju cards will come out, but like they've been getting some support here and there. I mean, maybe if they get some more support. It wasn't something that I felt like that deserved to be on the list, but you guys mentioned it, so I will give them a shout out. Okay, also Pendulum, like a vanilla Pendulum Heat Wave decks. I've seen there was actually an OCG deck that taught. I'm gonna get you guys that deck list really soon because that was something that I thought was interesting. Heat Wave, pretty good card. Need to play a normal or special summon effect monster. So basically, you just throw in a bunch of vanilla monsters and you go Heat Wave, and then your opponent cannot Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really what it comes down to. And obviously, you need no link cards because you ain't gonna be busting them out either. And then lastly, Heroes. I think this could be a deck. It really requires a lot of the OTK potential, like form change, mass change. You keep on swapping up the monster, and then you can finish them off. I want to say this, it did actually top in OCG, but for the most part, I want to say that this deck is more popular than OCG because they got 2 Stratos, I believe, in OCG. We only got 1. Let me actually check out Stratos. We always need to free that guy, Stratos. Or we need to say in the comments to free that guy. But the OCG, they got double Stratos, so I want to say this one could be like kind of obscure, like Heroes in general. I mean, Stratos, it's a pretty like decent card in the archetype, but yeah, I would say it's more popular than OCG, but there are some of my viewers that are OCG players, so Heroes are still viable. I mean, it's going to be difficult for you to win, I would say, in a lot of scenarios, but just believe in the heart of the cards, or just stack your deck, Kappa. Anyways, lastly, this card in the this is important. In the TCG, this card is still at 3. So Treat Toad, or I guess Paleozoic. There's a lot of builds that just kind of spam this guy out. I think he can be okay. Now, before it was really nice when you had multiple on board. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to survive. I haven't really seen this deck. This is why it's kind of down here. These ones down here are kind of things I kind of want to just kind of mention because some of you guys mentioned and I not necessarily agreed with, but I'll put them out there for some of you players that might be more innovative out there to try to evolve your decks and apply them to non-link formats maybe better than I thought in my head. But I felt like these ones were the most popular and they're going to be the most powerful, the best ones. Going into link formats. But yeah, that's it for the list of what I consider the best decks to go into that are non-link to go into link summon format. Alright, but anyways guys, if you felt like I missed on anything, definitely let me know. I can update this video later on with other things that you guys mentioned because there's always new things that come out in the game. But in addition to that, I'll be giving you guys some deck profiles of certain ones. If you guys want any specific one earlier, just let me know and I'll try to get you guys those ones as fast as possible. I definitely want to cover this one though, because this one, it's such an easy and straightforward deck. I feel like most players can just learn it like in 5 minutes. It's basically complete your skill, summon a bunch of stuff. But activate Heat Wave first, and then your opponent doesn't do anything, you attack it, and then they don't do anything. Well, because they can't summon anything, and you gain them really fast. If you have multiple of it, it's dirty, man. But anyways, yeah, that's the list, guys. And like I said, if you disagree with me, I would love to know it because I can definitely fix up the list for a future video. But enjoy, guys. If you guys do not like playing link summons, or if you guys don't like link summon cards, these can be decks that you guys can play. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys get a like button, a slap arena. Let me get my diva. I actually have it next to me this time. Slap that like button and hit that subscribe button for more. Well, I guess we won't be making more best of non-link decks, unless there's a lot more decks come out in the future. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'm out.